What's going on, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome to another live edition of Tuffy Talk tonight, live, whatever we want to call it this week. I'm joined by my good friend, Macon Adams, on the road doing some hard work. Where are you coming from, Macon?
Great city of Charlotte.
Sure. Well, not too far from home then, but far enough, right?
No, not too far.
Yeah. So,
Not too far, man. How are you?
man, I'm good. Another weekend spent down in Raleigh. Got home real late as always, but usually worth the trip. So
Yeah, I saw you got some TV time.
yeah, I got a little TV time on Saturday night, trying to get the crowd going. And as we bring Michael on here, evening, Michael, how you doing?
What's up, guys?
Nothing much, sir. It's just our world we're living in it, trying to have a good time. So we're just kind of doing our intros and just checking in on you, man. You having a good day? Good weekend?
Yeah, it's been a good week.
Yeah. As always, being an NC State fan, it's always a mixed bag, right?
Yeah, for the most part.
We'll take the good with the bad. We'll definitely get into that and just kind of do a little rewind of the week. And Leighton is I think he's cruising with Johnny Depp in Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm not sure where he's at, but he might be plundering some gold out there on the high seas. But it's just the three of us holding it down right now. Mackenzie's a little under the weather. She may or may not join us, but if she does, we'll definitely bring her on. So, look, since Leighton has left the reins to us, I like doing things a little different. I like just jumping right on in to the Tuffy Talk tweets of the week. And we don't have as many as last week, so that might be a good thing. But you know what? Let's cue it up and let's do some tweets of the week. All right. You know what? I like to start with the good. And by the way, everyone out there for joining us, send us your hellos, your thoughts on everything we're going through, questions. We'll try to get to as many of them. We have Nicholas here in the chat, so thanks, Nicholas, for hopping on with us and being the first participate in the live chat. But let's talk ACC champions. Who wants to go first?
I will. I mean, it's first time for everything, and having to be for women's tennis this year.
Yeah, first thing for everything, right? So NC State, as you're saying, NC State women's tennis, their first ever ACC championship, and UNC's first loss of the season. So that couldn't have come at a better time. And just a couple of weeks ago, they handed it to us pretty good, 7-0. Now that was without Diana Schneider, our number one player. They beat us 7-0. And I figure if she plays in that, you're probably getting 1 or 2 wins, and everyone slots in a little bit better. So that match potentially is either a win or a much closer outcome. But yeah, the championship was won over in Cary this weekend, and it was great. I was there Friday, got sunburned, but had a good time cheering on State. They beat FSU.
Was that your first women's tennis event?
Yeah, no, second. I actually went this year when we played Tennessee earlier in the season. So, but yeah.
So, what has your experience been like so far?
I enjoyed it. I enjoy tennis. I'm not like one of those fanatical guys, but I mean, I think like most of us here on Tuffy Talk, we just enjoy sports in general. And then, seeing sports in person, it takes it to a little better level. I would say I would probably, ACC like tournaments and stuff like that, I definitely would watch on TV. But if it was a regular season match, I probably full disclosure wouldn't watch it on TV. What about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I want us to get more invested into the non-revenue sports.
Yeah.
But when when the ones that are doing well, these tend to focus on those a lot more. And
Absolutely.
I think it's more incentive for those teams to continue to play well, right? I mean, but I think it's awesome, especially when you have a national level talent like Schneider on the team. And I think this team can take on a whole nother level as a program than what they've ever had before. And it's a big part of it is going to be able to build off of this kind of season. So really excited what they can do moving forward.
Yeah, national NCAAs will be coming up probably in the next week or two. I'm not sure how close they jump into that. But Michael, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I watched the whole match on Sunday, and right? Yeah, that was Sunday morning. I think it was
Sunday morning.
Yeah.
Yep. Mhm.
Yeah, and State kind of just dominated them. Like it didn't even really look like
Yeah.
UNC was the number one team in the country, undefeated. We lost them 7-0 earlier this season, but Sunday it was all State. Schneider beat the number one player in the country, but I think she's really like, she's like playing professional. Some
She's on her
professional.
own level, right? She's on her own level.
Yeah, like I don't know how she's not also like one of the top, like 1 or 2 in the country as well, because her ranking, like her like professional rankings, like in the top 100 in the world,
Right.
like, of female tennis players. So it's kind of crazy that she was going up against this I think her name was Crowley, who was number 1 in the country, and she dominated her 6-1 and then 6-2.
Yeah. I was like I said, I was there on Friday, and our great follower Infinite Hate was there yesterday. So yeah, there was a lot of Wolfpack fans there on Friday. I was just like Infinite. I was yelling, and I ran into the ladies at Doak on my way into baseball after that, and I got a great picture with a couple of them with their trophies, and that was a pretty cool moment for me. And I just told them, like, congrats, and I was there Friday. They're like, oh yeah, we heard you and we saw you. So just like Infinite Hate, Coach Urshan, who I got to meet yesterday, very nice gentleman. They were just really great. But we're talking about Diana, but enough can't be said for Nell Miller. I watched her on Friday, and she eats them up on the doubles team, on the doubles partner. You don't put it near the net with her. I mean, she will just spike it, and you'll eat that tennis ball. Like you'll be coughing fur balls from tennis balls for the next hour, because she just.
Yeah, I mean, you made a point though talking about Schneider, but like State really owned them in Tobacco's point, and it wasn't just Schneider;
Yeah.
it was everybody, right?
Yeah,
they won.
Go ahead.
2 out of 3 in the doubles, which gets you 1 point,
right,
and then each singles match is a point. And I think they won 5 out of 6 singles matches.
They
I
did.
think the final score was 4-1.
Alana Smith was the only one who lost. And,
Yeah.
You got Diane Schneider, Amelia Rajecki, and Sophie Abrams. Trying to look here. There's a couple unfinished matches they had, but yeah.
I think So once you secure the victory, they stop the match. So that's why you see the end of the end.
It was only 4-1, but technically it was 6-1.
Yeah. Had they kind of finished at the same time, that would have been the outcome. And it was a complete dominant performance for the ladies. And no doubt they'll be getting probably a number 1 seed in the national tournament. And then we talked about it on last week's live stream that ACC play, you only play as a team. On the NCAA level, you play both at a team and individual. So we could be going after multiple national championships coming up in the next couple of weeks.
They won the doubles last year.
Correct. Nell did with
Rintelli, right?
Yeah. No, I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong name because I'm not 100% sure. But yeah. And I noticed it looks like Nell only plays doubles. From everything that I saw over this weekend. Again, I've watched it from a kind of afar, going to that one match, so I haven't kept up with it as much as I should, and I will be doing a better job at that because it was exciting.
It was Jada Daniels last year.
That's
who I think is I think she graduated.
Yes, she graduated. She's a pro now. She's won a couple tournaments as a doubles. Been making a few dollars out there on the circuit.
Yeah.
So, congrats to them, and that's our first tweet of the week. And I do want to follow it up with this tweet because I think, for me as a fan, you can't get enough of this, and I just think it's a great photo. And that's the team with the bell tower red and their championships, trophies, and just a great photo by Coach. I love that kind of stuff, and I think it's one of those great traditions that we do, and I'm glad that we like the bell tower red. But just what are your guys' thoughts on this? I mean, they do say a picture's worth 1,000 words, so if you guys can keep it to under 900 for your comments.
No, it's awesome. I mean, like you said, that's one of the best traditions that State has.
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I think it's something to keep going and build. To keep building off of. they should enjoy it any way they want to, really, for winning. So
Yeah, this is a good comment by Infinite, and I did not know that that Diana will only be playing on the team portion and not the individuals. That's cool though. She's still going to support her team and try to go get a national championship for her teammates. By the way, I don't know if we did mention she was voted or selected as the most outstanding player during the ACC tournament, so she got double hardware for the tournament. So. All right. Well, again, we just wanted to spend a couple of minutes talking about tennis and the ACC championship that they earned. Well deserved. So, all right. Well, we started with the good, so now we're coming back to earth as state fans, and frustrating weekend, and it was a tough weekend at the Doak, to say the least, and we lost all 3 games to Clemson. We lost Friday night 10-2. That was ugly. And then the next 2, like, we were in the ball games. We lost 9-7. We lost a lead late in that game. We'll get into that. And then yesterday we lost 8-5. Just had some struggles there. But before we start breaking it down, we had won 5 or 6 in a row. I think it was 5, and had won, pretty convincingly in a few of those games. And then we came back to earth. In fact, last weekend we had, we had the outburst a week before against UNCW, swept FSU, and then put it handedly to Davidson down in Charlotte.
Yeah.
And then we kind of came reeling back to earth real quick. Lost another ACC series, which there's only 3 left, so we got to get it going pretty quickly. But just give me your initial thoughts before we start kind of breaking down some numbers.
You got Michael. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's tough. It was, one, like you said, you were in the Saturday and Sunday games. I don't know. I mean, obviously you can tell by the scores. It was our pitching and defense scoring 8 runs in every game. Clemson did. I don't know. It like, you'd like to just kind of blow this one off, but it's like you said, there's only 3 series left, and you got to start playing your best here. And obviously Clemson's good. They've won 3 ACC series in a row after a rough start. So I mean, by the end of the season, who knows? Maybe Clemson will be a national seed or something. But and it doesn't look as bad. But getting swept at home is never great.
Yeah, because we were 1 game under 500 coming into the series, and then now we're back to 4 under. But Macon, just kind of give me your thoughts. If I
thought it was a terrible series, man. You can't lose this kind of games. I thought State tried to have some moments there where they would come back, and they just couldn't. It was nice to see Noah Souls back.
Yep.
It sounded like we just are choking some games away. Like, I don't know. I don't know. It's a little frustrating. I don't know. You can't go 0-3 against a team that's 5-9 heading into that series. Like, Clemson's 5-9, and now they're 8-9.
Yeah.
So I just think that's unacceptable to me personally.
Yeah, for me, the theme of the week is we dug ourselves into early holes in all 3 games, and we were able to fight back in the second game, actually take the lead. We ended up losing it on a grand slam in the 8th. That's definitely a pitch that Sam, I don't know if that was where he was trying to throw it, but on a 1-2 count to arguably their best power hitter, you gotta bury. Yeah. I mean, grooved. It seemed like a grooved fastball in there.
Yeah, and I know, coaches call the pitches, but he got him swinging 2 straight pitches on a changeup.
Yep.
And then he threw him a fastball, which I get it. You've thrown him 2 straight changeups. He's whiffed on both of them. So okay, maybe just try and blow by him with a fastball, but he was sitting all over it and put that thing in the trees.
Yeah, and that's the thing about baseball. It's a fickle sport, right? So, sometimes you just outthink yourself, and and sometimes the best strategy or the best offense is just keeping it simple. And I think, just going back to the basics, regardless, on a 1-2 count, you can't put it in the zone like that. You got to, get them to, and I get it. Bases are loaded. You probably maybe are a little hesitant to to call a pitch in the dirt, if you don't,
Mhm.
necessarily think that your catcher's going to be able to stop it. But, maybe you miss high, maybe, throw a fastball, eye high, and maybe he chases one out of the zone. I don't know. It's easy to, literally Monday morning or Monday evening
Sure.
quarterback this thing. But it was just a game where, again, all 3 games, we left a lot of guys on
Yeah.
base.
A lot of
That's
runners
still,
on.
that's still a theme. The one thing I thought that Clemson did really well yesterday, they had 3 bunt singles in the first 3 innings, and they played a lot of small ball, and they executed very well, whereas State didn't. And I thought, getting in those early holes, you start pressing, I feel, and you have guys like Peyton Green who's come down to earth. I think he had an 0 for series. Played okay. We
Mhm.
played okay in the field. We made like 1 or 2 errors. But it's just one of those things that, and here's the thing, and we're going to talk about this in a second. It's not going to get any easier going, having ECU come into town this weekend. Now we do get a little bit of a break, hopefully, with Citadel coming in. But
Mhm.
I guess
Yeah.
Michael or Macon, just give me your thoughts on, like, what does this team need to do? And, we have about a third of the season left.
Yeah, I do kind of like that this weekend series coming up is the Citadel. I mean, they're obviously it's still a tough matchup, but it's not an ACC matchup, so
Right.
a little bit of a break there. And yeah, I mean, obviously ECU's top 10 team, and that'll be a tough one Tuesday night. But it sounds like Sam Highfill is going to start, which
That's
will
what I'm
be
hearing.
his first start.
First
I
start of the
think.
year. Yeah.
So I don't know. That could either go really well, or he could get run out after a couple innings, because it
Yeah.
seems like when he's been coming in relief, he can give you 1, maybe 2 good innings. But as
Yeah.
he gets through the lineup a couple more times, he struggles at some points. So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I mean, we haven't found that midweek game starter. We haven't had a consistent. We've thrown probably 4 or 5 guys out there at various pieces of the season, and we just haven't found one that we really like. And because of that, it throws off your weekend. We had a completely different. I think this is like the second or third weekend in a row where we had. No, granted, we had the Wake Forest in there too, so that threw everything off a little bit with it being a condensed series. But 3 weekends in a row where we've had to. Well, not where we had to, but we have swapped around our weekend starters. So I don't really know what to make of that. I know some of that is out of necessity because we have struggled midweek, and so you're just trying to get wins. But
Yeah,
I don't know.
but
Still time. We don't need to hit that panic button yet, but they definitely need to have figure it out. I know.
and
I
the
usually
starting
say
pitching hasn't been the issue either.
No,
which
it
is
hasn't.
Kind of why that kind of strange they're switching that up, but
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. I don't know. I don't know why Matt ended up going on Sunday. I don't know. Maybe it's just to kind of give a shot in the arm to the team and just to kind of keep them on their toes. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have nothing there. I will say after Saturday's game, the players did not come out of the locker room as fast as they normally do. So take that for what it's worth.
Yeah.
They probably had some kind of meeting afterwards. It was an extended period of time. Like I said, normally within the first 10 minutes, maybe 15, you'll start seeing players trickle out. Even so, they'll even come out before they go to the locker room to change, and everyone went straight to the locker room after that game. So I know it was not probably a great conversation, but Macon, do you have any other thoughts before we jump off the baseball?
Yeah, I think they're going to need to change some lineups around. I mean, they can't keep going with what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I haven't, be totally upfront, I haven't watched a lot of the baseball team this year.
Sure.
Don't know why, I just haven't. I can only, a lot of what I see or hear is a lot on social media. I hear a lot of comments, and not to pick on certain players, but I hear a lot of comments about Peyton Green.
Yeah, he's unfairly targeted on a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
And why do you think that is? Just for discussion, why do you think that is?
I just think he's got so much talent, and the expectation is just so high. He had big expectations coming out of high school, and last year he's a true freshman trying to get sorted out. And he's playing shortstop, which is arguably next to catcher. It's probably the most important position on the field. So a lot's made as a true freshman. Offensively, here's the other thing too. I think what frustrates fans, and again, I can't speak for all of Wolfpack Nation, but when you have someone that has all the skills and you can see that there's flashes of it, I think that's
Yeah.
what becomes the enigma and the baffling of why it's not consistent. But again, like I just said, baseball is a fickle sport. It's arguably the hardest thing to do is to hit a 90-mile-an-hour round ball on a round bat when you have like 0.8 seconds to make a decision on where that ball is going.
And well, and that was part of the reason that that's been his strength the whole season is his bat.
Yep.
And lately he's like you said, I don't think he got a hit against Clemson this weekend, so it's kind of piling on at this point. But yeah.
And in baseball, it's a game of streaks. You can, like, some days that ball looks like a beach ball. Sometimes it looks like a golf ball. It's just, you just seeing and, different pitchers you have better success against. And, here's the one thing that I will say that got buried in all of this was the week that Cannon Peebles had. He had a great week. And if we win probably 2 out of 3, he's probably in the conversation for ACC Player of the Week, if not Freshman of the Week. I don't know if anything came out about that, but
haven't seen it.
Yeah, I was pretty busy at work today, so I didn't have a chance to goof off on my union break that I don't have. So
Yeah.
But again, there's time to get this right, and we have an abundance of hitters, and the problem isn't scoring runs. It's been the bullpen and the defense at times. So again, you can figure those out really quickly. Now, whether we do or not, that's another conversation to be had on another day. But I still think this is a team that can make a run. I really do. Nothing says that no, this team is done. Like, this team is garbage, and I don't see it. And maybe that's what makes it even more frustrating.
Yeah.
I feel like they feel so much pressure, which they kind of do, but it's almost, I wonder if they're waiting for something to go wrong. I don't know. Yeah. And I don't want them. I know Avents talked about some players wanting to get them to have fun.
Yeah.
And so, if you're losing a lot of games, you start it's being tempted to point fingers, right?
Yep. Michelle talks about this right here.
And yeah. I think they just need to, coach is going to have to figure out how just to loosen them up in practice and tell them, like, you guys, you can start every game to a new season in your mind. Just keep, starting over, and it's okay. Like, but I think for the coaches, I think they're going to have to change some lineups around. Maybe shift some guys, different positions. I don't know.
Well, and they have been doing that.
Get up, just totally blow up the batting lineup one day just to try something different. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I will say to that point, they have been shifting guys around. I know Eli Serrano's batted first, he's batted third, he's batted fourth, he's batted eighth. Like, they move him and all up and down the lineup just to try to get some kind of combination where they can just either get him a couple of extra bats in a game or get people on in front of him to drive in runs. And again, I don't think that's the problem. And with Noah Souls coming back in, he had a couple of hits on Saturday night, so that was a nice welcome addition after he'd been out, man, just about the whole season. I think he got injured in that first, maybe second series of the season. He had a real bad hamstring injury. So, again, maybe you get these bats going. Maybe you have a better defensive alignment now with some guys back, and I don't know, but I don't want to keep beating this poor horse anymore. And tomorrow's a big one. You got to go get it. You honestly, that's a ranked opponent. I know we dropped in the RPI because losing to Clemson, so that's a win that we can get. That's probably a win against a hosting team. It's easy to say that they're safely in the hosting conversation. That is ECU. So you go get that win, you split. You still got some quality road games that you've already played in the season that you got some wins on, and now go win 3 more ACC series. It's all doable. We have Citadel this weekend, A&T midweek, Notre Dame of our weekend series, Richmond, Carolina, and Pitt. So it's right there still for the taking. You just got to go make it happen. But all right, I think we're gonna move on to our next topic here. And I think it's time for some hoops, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there's been some news in NC State basketball.
Yeah.
So
yes,
we're gonna. I dropped all these tweets kind of in chronological order of when they happened. So we'll be jumping around talking about different topics. But The first domino to come in after the first batch, because we'd already talked about DJ Horn and Jaden Taylor.
Yep.
Yep, Jaden Taylor.
Yeah. So they were the first two to commit the previous week, and then former 5-star recruit. Now, it is interesting that he's now considered a 4-star recruit, which I don't know. Like, all right, so we'll call him a 4-star recruit,
Hey,
but
yeah.
5-star coming out of high school. MJ Rice and making. I know you weren't on last week, and Michael, were you on last week?
No,
you were traveling back home. That's right.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I'll give you guys each the floor. Macon, you've been so nice to Michael, let him speak. So I'm going to give you the floor first. Just kind of don't talk about anybody else because we got some tweets on them, but talk about MJ, DJ, and Jaden.
Okay, so MJ specifically, I was very excited about this pickup for State. Anytime you can get a guy who was a McDonald's All-American, and particularly one from the Triangle area, North Carolina, a home state kid. He's from Henderson. Some people even say Creedmoor, but he's from Henderson.
Yeah,
that's a really big deal. He was really he was kind of come down to NC State and Kansas the last go around, and I mean, so if you look at the numbers, they're not all that impressive what he did last season at Kansas, but he's doing that on one of the best teams in the country. He did it playing on a team last season that had just come off a national championship season. So,
Jalen Wilson was like the best player in the country at his position, and he plays the same position.
Yeah, if this had happened at Georgia Tech, or if this had happened at, I don't know, Rutgers basketball, that would have been like, okay, well, that's not a thing to get excited about. But MJ is a guy who he's kind of like, he can kind of play the 3 spot. He can kind of play the 4 spot, in my opinion. And I think he's like 6'6"-ish, 6'5". But when you watch him on film, he just looks bigger.
Yeah.
And if I watched him on film, I didn't know his height. I thought, okay, this guy's 6'7", 6'8", really long wingspan. Seems to kind of move on the floor really well, and have a good sense of just the highlights I saw. He had, good field goal percentage when he was shooting, and I saw he was able to force turnovers pretty well for a guy at the time. That was a few things I remember seeing on one highlight tape. And I really think for NC State, particularly with the way the NIL set up, I don't think he could even – he could leave again, but I think he had to sit out a year. So when you get a guy and you're taking the bet on the fact that this guy just didn't see the floor much because he was playing behind one of the best players in the country last year.
Yeah.
You have him for like another year or two at least and can build him on that. I think the way State, look at the way State used Jack Clark last year, the way they've used Jericho Helms is probably another good player.
Mm-hmm.
That like another guard, small forward, playing at the 4 spot. It's a power forward position, generally speaking, but this is like a big guard. Yeah. And I think, he has to, the lights have to come on, the opportunity to be there for him, and it's got to make it happen. Mm-hmm. And I think fans need to be patient with him. Don't expect him to be Superman right away. Don't expect any of these guys to be Superman. But, this guy's a freshman, right? They're getting him as a freshman, and he has the makings and the profile to be an NBA player, like profile-wise. He just got to put it together, and he didn't really have the opportunity last year. It wasn't because he had the opportunity, just didn't do it. It just didn't happen last year for him. So really excited about MJ.
So just to kind of give you a quick recap of kind of what Macon was saying there, MJ Rice is 6'5", 215 pounds. He averaged 2.2 points a game, 1 rebound, 0.2 assists. Now, he only did appear in 23 games and averaged 7.5 minutes. So like you were saying, very limited action. He did have a career high of like 3 points last year. So
right, he got garbage minutes at the end, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I lied actually. Nope, I lied. Texas Southern, he had 19. So I didn't expand. So he did have a game where he had 19.
Yeah.
then
So what
North
were the
Dakota
minutes of
State.
that game
10.
compared to other games he'd played? I'm curious on that.
He shot the ball really well. He had 21 minutes.
I'm gonna look it up. You guys keep talking.
Yeah, he
I'm
had
looking it up.
21
Just out of
minutes. He
curiosity.
shot two
Wow.
of
Yeah.
two
19
of-
points in 21 minutes. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
You're averaging almost a point a minute. You're doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like you said, there's Seton Hall. He had 5 points, which was a tournament. Not a tournament team, but they're a team that's on the rising. So to that point, again, a lot of games he saw less than 5 minutes of action, and once you got to conference play, his biggest minute total was against Texas. He had 15 minutes and he only scored 2 points. So, that's a number 5 team in the country. So it's not like he was playing a scrub team.
Yeah.
But Michael, do you have anything to add to any of that?
I'm just excited to see him play, and he's one of the most talented, highest upside guys we've had probably since Dennis Smith Jr.
Yeah,
5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, most prolific name, I guess, is what you're kind of saying. Yeah, I
agree. But I mean, overall, you're talking about DJ Horn and Jaden Taylor. I think those are 2 really good pickups as well. DJ Horn can just shoot the 3. Like he averaged over 2 made 3s a game.
Yeah.
Last 2 seasons with Arizona State. Excuse me. He's a career 38% 3-point shooter. So when him and Casey Morsell are out there, I mean, that's going to be a really good shooting lineup there.
Yeah. And what are your thoughts on, if nothing else, you're building depth, right? Depending on, how, because here's the other thing, and we'll kind of talk about it. We may not be done yet in the portal, and we'll definitely talk about that. We'll just kind of tease that. But if nothing else, you're bringing in Power 5 guys that are scoring 12.5 points, 15.5 points, 16.5 points. We talked about earlier after the season, kind of did our recap that you're going to have to we're going to have to replace a lot of points in with Joyner and Smith. And I think this is that good start, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really excited about this guy, man. I think what State fans remember with this, maybe he's a starter. I think because he plays that 4 position, he's going to play out. He very well could be the starting 4 guys. I mean, he could be
potential. Yeah.
I mean,
so it's hard for me to also. And I think about you might have to expect something from him if he's going to be the starting. You got to expect it from him. So it's like, hey, big role, got to fill the shoes.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got to think his competition is Ernest Ross. You just landed a commitment from another guy, which
we'll talk about.
Maybe he plays that 4 position.
And we'll tease it. I think we completed the first ever NCAA trade in basketball.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think it'll be, with Jack Clark leaving to Clemson. I don't really care. It's good for him.
We're just dropping this to just say, hey, this is where he's gone, and I set it up because of this right there. Right. So I kind of was making fun. It was like the first modern day NCAA college basketball trade. Obviously, that's not a thing, but it was just kind of coincidental that I think it was the same day, if I'm not mistaken. They both committed to the opposite school. So this is Ben Middlebrooks, who committed from Clemson. Another guy that, so you're stealing from an ACC opponent. And this is the guy that Leighton can't remember his name. So last year it was Dusan Mahorchik for me. And this year Leighton's good. His public enemy is going to be Ben Middlebrooks.
What was he calling him?
He just forgetting the S. He was saying he was like his name's so long. So a really solid pickup. A guy that played behind PJ Hall. So he didn't get a lot of minutes, but a very productive player. I believe he averaged about 8 points a game. If my numbers, nope, I'm sorry, only 3.1 points per game, 2.7 rebounds, a half assist, but he did shoot 48% from the field. So that's a big number. He is a sophomore, so he'll have 3 years of 3 years of eligibility. Math right?
If he'll be a sophomore this year,
it says he's a sophomore, so I don't know.
So he'll have 2. Yeah,
I think he has 2, right? Yeah. They haven't updated everything.
And I think it's a good pickup. I think he can come in and kind of just take that role that Doosan was playing.
Yeah.
Be a good complement to Burns in the post, a different type of player.
Yep. Now he is a guy that is 6'10", 232 pounds. Ironically, his best game last year was against NC State. So he scored 8 points twice, and 10 points was his high last year, and that was against State. And then he scored 8 in the other game, and he scored so 10, 8, and 8 against State last year. So
yeah, this is a guy that I think it's an automatic upgrade over E.B. Duwana.
Yeah.
And so State got better getting Middlebrooks, in my opinion. I mean,
So-
Duwana in particular, I know we talk about the rebounding thing too, but like Middlebrooks, if you watch him on film, the dude can play.
Yeah.
I mean, he has an all-around good game. Doesn't look like he does anything amazing or great, but he's a really good rebounder. He's got a little bit of back to the basket game. He's got a face-up kind of game where he can maybe hit a shot on you. I like the rebounding, to be honest with you, about a bunch of anything. And his, get relieve DJ in some minutes, and maybe if after DJ leaves this year, maybe he's the starting center. I think kind of figure it all out. And I don't know. I really like this get for State from like a depth standpoint.
Yeah, his you were talking about EB. They played about the same amount of minutes, about a minute difference. EB only averaged 1.7 and he had 1.9. Now the difference you're going to see is in the block shot ability. That's where kind of EB shine was on the defensive side of the ball. But I think to your point, Macon, he's definitely an offensive upgrade. Michael, any thoughts that we haven't discussed about Mr. Middlebrooks?
No, I mean, I just, if you can upgrade at every position, even if it's backups, overall it makes your team better, and it seems like that's what the goal was this off season.
Yeah. And to the point, I think again we had some points to make up. So like you're saying, you're getting a little bit more offensive upside with Mr. Middlebrooks, because I think when I did the math, I think we lost 65 or 70% of our offensive scoring from last year. So that's,
yeah. Like to that point, Turquoise, what was he, 18 or 19?
Yeah.
You don't have to go out and find somebody who's averaging 18 or 19. You can get somebody who's averaging 13 or 14, like a Jaden Taylor, and then like Middlebrooks, you upgrade that over EB, who wasn't giving you much on the offensive end. So you get more offensive upside through multiple guys instead of just one.
Right. And then here's the other thing too that we'll probably discuss is we've added height to our team, right? And that was the one thing that we didn't have a lot of depth at, was that center position, kind of to protect DJ Burns. So, all right, moving on to the next tweet here. This happened today. So I'm going to screw his name up. So one of you two, please take it. But we got a transfer. So did he?
People have been joking around calling it diarrhea.
Yeah. That was the first thing I saw, and I'm sure he had a rough schoolhood.
It is Mohamed Diarra. Mohamed Diarra.
Yeah. So he was a
Diarra.
He had 1 year at Missouri. Yep. So SEC. So good competition. Before that, he was the number 1 rated JUCO player. I don't have his stats. I'm going to try to pull those up. But if you guys want to just share your thoughts while I do that, I will come in with some tangibles for you.
Yep. I think you lose similarly with Middlebrooks too. And so you lose. I don't know this one for tweets, Greg. So forgive me.
No, it's fine.
You lose Duwana, and you lose now. We're losing Doosan Mahorchik.
Yeah, we'll break that down for sure.
Okay, so that's 2 forward pieces there, and then you've now replaced them with Middlebrooks and Diarra. And I think let's say this. Let's just say we traded Middlebrooks for Mahorchik.
I think that's probably
Yeah, more.
Yeah, probably more accurate. I think that's a pretty even swap, to my opinion. I think again, you just improved Diarra over Duwana. But like Yeah, this guy right here, if you guys are going to go watch the film on Diarra, just search his name, Missouri, and highlights will come up. You'll notice a guy who seems to have a pretty good motor, in my opinion. And I like that a lot about him. What I really like that is, man, this would be really interesting if State can kind of tap into this somehow and really make it consistent. At 6'10", and he has the ability to step out and make 3-point shots. And they were mixed in pretty evenly into his highlight tapes from Missouri.
Yeah.
So
to that point, he shot 25% from 3-point land.
Not great, right? That's not good. But for a center, it's a starting point, right? And I think State can make it work with him, but they're not going to ask him to do that a whole lot. But if they can kind of tap into that, that'd be great. They're not going to ask this guy to be doing a whole lot, in my opinion, next year. They're doing some things, but what's his role going to be? And I think you come back to, him being that potential starting four. I don't think he's going to concede MJ. I think you're not taking a McDonald's All-American 5-star guy, him probably not being your starter, but this is a guy that could compete for that. And if nothing else, relieve MJ Rice. And he's not going to concede the starting role to MJ. It's just I really like this guy's rebounding that I noticed on film. I like how he can stretch the floor out for an offense, particularly imagine him on the floor, DJ, if he can kind of step out in the perimeter and make some, keep a defender honest in the mid-range game, that'll give DJ a whole lot more space to work. So I like this for Diarra. So
yeah, he's 6'10". He's from Paris, France. So we have another European player coming to the team. We lost one and we gained one. He has averaged 3.2 points a game, 3.3 rebounds a game, just over a half assist, and he shot 40% from the field. This is a guy that played in 25 games for Missouri and averaged just under 12 minutes a game.
Yeah. No, I like it. It's like you said, you're upgrading at every spot, even if it's a backup. He can. I think he's obviously big enough at 6'10". He can, guard your post players, but has enough of an outside there.
I think the one thing that. Yeah, I was sorry to interrupt. I think the one thing that we would maybe like to see is maybe him add a few pounds. 215 is kind of light for a 6'10" guy, but not horrible. We really haven't talked about Miranda. I think he, last Friday.
What you talk about?
What? Well, I mean, so there was talk, and he was maybe leaving, but he kind of put that to rest on Friday. And where I was going with that was, he's a guy that can shoot from the outside, so maybe that's your outside threat for your big guy, like you were saying, making to kind of stretch the floor.
Yeah. I think it's going to be good for State. I think you're seeing the floor being raised for NC State, in my opinion, as a team. That's what I think you're seeing. I think you mentioned about Jalen Taylor before, and we talked about last week DJ Horn. I still don't put those guys on the same level as like pure baller compared to Terquavian Smith and Darkel a little bit. Maybe I mean, they're different types of players, but who is like the superstar on your team? It may be I don't know who's going to replace that. I think the floor is just raised for NC State depth wise, and so you said having 7 guys you can count on. KEATTS may still go to 7 guys in this roster, but he has a lot more options, in my opinion. It's not like he feels like he only has 7 guys to work with.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can get to 8 or 9 easily.
I think you can with this roster,
especially on any given night, based off matchups and who's got the hot hand and so on and so forth. I think, he's definitely. And again, like we said, this is we kind of talked about it last year, is kind of a changing in philosophy where, yes, we still are very much a guard oriented team, but he being KEATTS has definitely started to put in emphasis on the inside game, knowing just kind of how the ACC plays out. It's still kind of a big man's league as far as the ACC goes. With you still have Baycott, and then you have Filipowski, excuse me. Those types of players where you're going to need to be able to stop those guys if you want to win ball games.
Yeah. And And I don't view Burns as a defensive threat, right? He's
No.
more of an offensive threat. I mean, maybe he loses the weight and he can get there.
But by the way, have you seen the photos of him lately?
Yeah,
I did see something a little bit. Yeah,
he's looking.
But you know what? I also remember BJ Anya pictures coming around at one point and him losing a lot of weight. So
sure. I mean, that's fair.
I told him in person, but no, I think
fair.
I think what's interesting. I think another thing that was called out about Diarra's strengths in his game, his ability to deflect shots and block shots. So
just over a half a block a game.
I think you're going to see him in some more defensive possessions. Probably see him on the floor.
Maybe this is your Dewanu replacement.
Yeah.
And we kind of said earlier, right? Diarra for Dewana. We said Middlebrooks for Mahorchik. And they're same last names, same letters. Interesting.
Yeah, that is funny. But
Carson brings up. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Michael, and I'll bring it.
Well, I was just going to say, I think when you brought in Middlebrooks, it was like, oh wow, he's like a big step up from Dewana. But I think at that point Dusan probably wasn't coming back anyway. So that's kind of who.
At least not publicly, right?
Yeah, and then they've got this guy, which makes a little more sense talent wise, because I don't know, like when it was announced that Middlebrooks was coming, and it was like, okay, is he going to be like fine being third string behind Burns and Dusan? Now it makes a little more sense that he'll probably split time with Burns, and Diarra will be kind of your third big there.
Yeah. So I want to bring up this comment because I think it's worth taking about 2 or 3 minutes to talk about, because it just makes sense. So Carson says, I think that now that the NCAA scandal is over, KEATTS can run the program the way he wants and take it to its full vision. We saw this beginning of this past season. I just kind of take a couple of seconds to get your thoughts, and Megan, if you want to go for us, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, KEATTS, I think he needs to give DJ and Terquavian and Jarkel Joyner a big hug for saving his job last year. And I still think he's got some stuff he's going to have to prove. I mean, congratulations, you made one off season. You lost the first game in the NCAA tournament. I mean, it's something. It's better than what it was, but it's I think you still have to prove it there. I think with having the cloud of the NCAA thing gone, he can recruit talent that he probably couldn't have otherwise. That the fear factor is not there anymore. Right. That at least it's reduced. But I come back to too. I don't think it's anywhere near as scary having a coach against Hubert Davis and John Shire as it was Roy Williams and Mike Krzyzewski. I think that's another huge thing people aren't thinking about. Yep. And I mean, at this point, what Duke is selling is that their brand. Yeah. I mean, they have some guys. They can say we had Filipowski, who developed into an ACC Rookie of the Year. They can do things like that, right? It's Hubert Davis can go to players and say, "Hey, look, Armando Bacot is a guy who's one of the best, double-digit scores. Would have been ACC Player of the Year. We had won more games, which I don't think is a really good look for him. But I really think KEATTS he's getting the job done in the offseason. That's for sure. And I heard people say on social media that his time at Hargrave Military Academy, where he was able to flip rosters, he had to every year. That mentality and flexibility he's had in the past may actually pay off dividends now. So, Kevin KEATTS is the portal whisperer, whatever that means.
Just kind of goes back to, like you were saying, every year he has to flip the roster there at Hargrave. So it just kind of makes sense there. So, all right, we're going to go jump to the next tweet. We got some more to pound through, and we only, don't want to be here all night, even though we could probably be here all night.
Probably could be.
Yeah. So we kind of talked about this with Dusan leaving, and I do want to spend maybe 4 or 5 minutes talking about this, because this was an interesting one that we weren't sure was going to kind of happen. You see his IG message pop up. I think it was Saturday, if my memory serves me correctly. He dropped in his IG story that his ACC waiver, which was interesting that it went to the ACC, and not to the NCAA unless there's an ACC rep that handles it. And I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm sure he has to get it approved by the NCAA first and then the ACC, I would guess.
Yeah, I don't know how all that works. So that would be a fascinating thing to find out at some point in my life, I guess. But so he comes back, or he says he's coming. Well, he's got an extra year of eligibility. We'll start with that. And then yesterday kind of pops that he announced that he was going to the portal. And I saw, and I don't know, some just intuition, I guess I had. And I was driving back last night. I'm driving on 95 just north of Richmond, and I see this pop up, and I go, yeah, makes sense to me. Like, I kind of saw it once everything, and then some more news came out, and I'll get to the point here in a second. But, you know, he's now married. By all accounts, his wife, either on Twitter, I think Twitter, combination Twitter and IG, said that this was not Dusan's decision to leave on his own accord. So we can start there. Michael, what do you make of all of that? And now knowing that, you know, he wasn't as like his injury was much more worse than we thought. Now I think I had shared on one of the streams that I had heard that he had a setback. Now I think that makes sense why, but we didn't know to the severity of it.
I think he had a second surgery, which what happened. So that second surgery is now extended his timeline to get back.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, is up in the air at this point, when he would be able to get back, whether it would be the end of the year or not till the middle of conference play.
Yep.
And that's where it seems like you can't hold a spot for that.
You can't hold a scholarship hostage.
Yeah. It's tough, and it's. Well, I feel for Dusan because he's gotten hurt at multiple spots too, and yeah.
And then there was a rumor being floated around that, you know, that he might not come back on scholarship. He might come back just off of NIL money and basically as like a walk-on. So that was out there floated a little bit. Again, don't know the legitimacy or the, you know, truth to that rumor. But at the end of the day, you know, look, I hate to say it, but it's a business. I mean, it really is a business now in college. So
especially now that we're doing with NIL
correct,
stuff, right?
Correct. Mm-hmm. So
what do you expect?
Yeah, you know, you have you're limited to 13 scholarship players, and you know what I was just saying. You can't hold that hostage. You're going to need that, because what happens if you have another Dusan injury to this next year's squad? God forbid. And so now you're down 2 scholarship spots. But Macon, what are your thoughts on how this was handled?
I mean, I don't know all the details, so I don't really
just what was public.
I don't like the idea of kind of the concept, if it's true or not, but just if it were true, the idea of pushing kids out. I don't like that. I don't say it's what KEATTS has done because I don't know the details. So again, I don't know.
So you don't want to be like Clemson football is what you're saying.
Exactly. Not that bad.
For anyone that doesn't know that reference, it came out in some things that
scathing article.
That's a very good way to say it, Macon. That after kids were given walk-on kids were given scholarships, they're now reportedly being pulled back by the Clemson coaching staff due to scholarship limitations and trying to make room for other players. So that was just
scouts kind of saying, talking to Clemson coaches, it's like every player in their team is an NFL roster player, and they're like, it smells like poop.
Yeah. But anyway,
all the time smell.
But yeah, so we digress. But I mean, there's some legitimacy to what you're saying, though, right, Macon? Like again, you don't want to be. That's the word that you don't want out there. So when kids are potentially looking at your school, that it could happen to them down the road.
Well, see, the other thing I think about this too is I imagine State didn't want this to happen, right? With Dusan,
no,
and I imagine Dusan probably didn't want it to happen for him either.
Yeah,
I think there's some understanding here, and it's. I mean, I think there's some understanding there. I don't.
And you weren't expecting to have him for 2 years, anyways, right? He was only came in with 1 year of eligibility.
Right.
Good point.
So it's it stinks.
It's an unfortunate situation, right?
Yeah, I hope the best for him.
And the other thing,
it's totally different though than just saying, "Hey, you're a guy on this team, and we just don't want you on the team anymore." That's
right.
So
that's definitely not what happened. I think it was
because go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say the other thing about him not coming back. It's like, okay, if he can come back in January, maybe that's you get most ACC play, but as we saw this past season, I mean, not for NC State because they took care of business in the non-conference, but teams that did bad in the non-conference, they had their resumes were hurt by that, right?
I'm looking
So
at you, Florida State.
really need, you really need a healthy team at the beginning of the year, even though it's non-conference, because the net weighs the non-conference so heavily. So
for sure, especially if some of those games are on neutral courts. And it sounds like, speaking of that, there's rumors that we're going to be playing out in Las Vegas next year. Did you guys see that?
No, I think it's official. I think it's official.
Is it official?
It's a rumor. I think it's official.
Okay, I think they were still looking for another opponent though, right? Like another.
They are. It was like Arizona State.
Okay.
Villanova, and NC State. I know Arizona State was. I don't know about.
Yeah, I know Arizona State was. I thought BYU was on there, maybe.
Oh, maybe.
I can't remember.
I don't know. I'll look it up.
Yeah, but anyway, do that while we're going through this. So the point being is to your point, Michael, you need to rack up those non-conference, especially on neutral courts, to get that net ranking to where you can maintain it come conference play. Because we saw last year, State had their number, and then they would move plus 3 or 4 in either direction pretty much the whole season.
And during non-conference, when we were winning, we were jumping up 5-6 spots at a time. So
especially early in the season,
it's flawed, but that's just kind of how it works. So you have to play to the algorithm, the system or whatever.
Yep. Yeah, it was BYU.
Yeah, nailed it. All right. So I think we've look, and at the end of the day, we definitely, we wish Dusan all the best. He was a guy that through his injury, you could see him on the bench, getting water for his guys, grabbing a towel, pumping them up, coaching them up, whatever, cheering them on. This is a guy that couldn't contribute on the court, but he did everything to have his guys ready to battle. So we are appreciative of his efforts, and super nice guy, and we wish him all the best.
Yep.
All right, next tweet of the week. So all that being said, and I will drop this nugget in the chat, but we've done pretty good in the portal.
Yeah, I think State is getting the recognition it deserves, and Keats getting recognition he deserves in the portal in the offseason. After what he did last year, getting home runs pretty much at every position with Dusan, and Dusan had an injury, so it's a little bit unfinished there, but getting Jarkel Joyner and DJ Burns, and I feel like I'm missing somebody. Jack Clark. Again, maybe not home runs, but I would say, really good, really good class. This class here has the potential to be really, really good too. So I guess my question would be real quick is, who do you guys view as the most impactful transfer so far? To me, go ahead. You got. I'll leave my thought last.
Yeah. Who is right now, or who could be? Because those are different answers.
Yeah.
Because I think MJ.
Let's go right now.
Yeah, right now, I'd probably say Jaden Taylor, just with the size, his defense.
Yeah.
He can score the ball. He was the leading scorer for a Big East team. I'd say Jaden Taylor right now. I think who has the most potential to be is obviously MJ Rice.
I kind of want to go DJ Horn.
I was thinking the same thing because he's going to be your point guard, right?
Stretch the floor for DJ Burns.
Yeah, that's fair.
Mm-hmm. Maybe Casey can do that right now, but there's not really the other. LJ Thomas maybe.
If he's on the team,
there's not really that guy who can stretch the floor, who's a true complement to DJ. And
yeah, that's fair.
You don't really have a true. You don't really have. You're limited on the point guard side of things too. So it's like right now it's either Breon or LJ. And I don't know if I feel confident either one of those guys running the point guard. I feel like they're better off the ball. Maybe particularly LJ off the ball. So I kind of want to say DJ, but I get it. Jaden Taylor is. When you talk about losing Terquavian Smith, well, you need to find offense to replace a guy like that and Jarkel. And I don't know if I don't think there's anybody on this roster that's going to straight up replace those guys. So Taylor, in my opinion, is the key to unlocking a lot of things. I think MJ is the key to unlocking some of the stuff. But
so real quick, then who plays the point? Are we done? That's kind of the question. Are we done?
Right, because we're full on scholarships.
We are full on scholarships right now. So, and the portal window is still open for.
So I guess we are. I guess maybe you're not. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
What is it, Michael? Another 4 days? Is it the 28th that it closes? You corrected me on that last time.
I don't know. That was the football one.
The football. Jeez, there's too many darn portals. That's true.
I know. I don't know what the basketball. It is soon though. It is only. Yeah, maybe the end of this week. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, people have been putting on Twitter.
Yeah.
The idea of having there's a transfer there who visited point guard. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying anything I shouldn't say. There's a transfer point guard who visited from Alabama, NC State recently, before Muhammad Diarra did. His name was Jaden Bradley. And this was another guy who was another 5-star McDonald's All-American, I think the same year as MJ. Yes. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
So, and it's also on Twitter between him and Memphis. Also visited Memphis. Nothing has come out yet about who he's committed to. But I think when you think about him at NC State and you watch his film again, go watch film on Alabama point guard Jaden Bradley on YouTube. You're going to see a guy, 6'3" point guard, very athletic. A more true point guard. I don't hate it, but more of a true point guard. He's
a facilitator.
He's able to facilitate, create plays for others really well. And more natural at that. It's more now. He seems like a more natural fit watching him play that position.
Right.
I really would love State to land that guy, because if they can get that guy, I feel like, okay, now you've put the key in there now, because then State can run some things.
You don't even need a key; it's automatic ignition nowadays. So I think that's true.
With LJ, DJ, and DJ Horn and Breon.
Yeah,
maybe Breon's a little different, but none of those guys I see that are like really good at creating for others. Yeah. And when I watch on film with Jaden Bradley, it looks like he does. So again, he's not committed anywhere, guys.
Right. That'll probably happen sometime this week, I'm guessing.
I don't know. Well, hopefully.
Yeah.
We'll see.
The one thing
I think so too. But
yeah. I mean, just the timeline.
The thing is, we thought earlier.
Yeah.
If he's already got 12 scholarships committed, which remember, State had the one scholarship taken away from the NCAA stuff. Generally, your roster is supposed to you're allowed to have 13 scholarships max on a basketball team. State's limited to 12. So if you were to get Bradley, it's like, what does that mean for somebody else on the roster? So maybe I don't want to get in the position of kicking somebody off the team.
But maybe someone's already leaning anyway.
Maybe somebody's already moving. Maybe Bradley goes to Memphis. And we just have to roll with the team we got.
Yep.
That's a very strong possibility. Yep. So I think just what you look at right now, I like the lineup. And I come back to more of the point guard that I'm more worried about. But Horn, Taylor, Morsell, Rice, and Burns.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not sold on the I still need something from another point guard. That's just me.
I mean, there's something that I don't see a lot of creativity happening with Horn on the film. I see really good catch and shoot point guard ability for Horn.
Yeah.
So
anyway, all right. Well, we'll get into this as we get closer to the fall here. We got about 150, 160 days before basketball gets started. So we got plenty of time to dissect that. So moving on. Just real quick on the women's side, we did sign a player out of Sacramento State. Not a hotbed that you would normally think of, but you know what? This screams, and I'm not saying there's any comparison. This to me screams Arena Perez type move, right? Someone who, by the way, she's from Canada, so we've had some luck there with. I just forgot her name. Ace. Yeah. Small, like, again, smaller school. She shoots really well from 3-point land. I think she was like 45%, something ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was
40. That's for her.
40. Yeah, I don't want to cheat her. Yeah. Yeah.
Career.
45 that's change. Really what it was. 45 change.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a crazy number for your career.
Yeah.
I think Corey Smith from Pack Pride had a tweet out that showed her percentiles of her scoring ability. And it's like at least like the 95th 95th, 94th percentile in like multiple categories of offense.
All the shooting metrics you could look at, she was like 95th percentile or something.
Yep. And let's be
Something
honest,
crazy.
this is an area of the floor we really struggled at last year, was shooting from the outside. So, you know, if her game translates to the ACC, and I think, you know,
Yes.
if you're just going to be able to shoot the ball all day, then have at it, you know, lights out. But we'll see what happens. Again, this is probably the first of many moves. This puts us at about 10 players, again, if my numbers are correct. So we had 5 returning players, 4 incoming freshmen, now 1 transfer. So I can't see anything.
Oh, there you go. You can see there.
Yep. So 45, 46%. So yeah, she just gets it done from the outside. So again, if we can get an inside game, work it inside out like Coach Moore likes to do it. By the way, happy belated birthday, Coach Moore, who turned 65 on this past Saturday. So happy birthday, Coach. But yeah, I still see probably another 2 or 3 players that we're going after. There's some irons in that fire, and we'll see what comes up with it. We won't go too much into this because there's going to be tons more movement, and then once we start getting some more players, we can probably do a little bit more better breakdown and analysis of what we have. So just want to keep that moving. Any thoughts before I click to the next tweet?
I love recruiting. That's all I got to say.
I know you do, buddy. I know.
That's for the last thing I want to say.
I mean, your Twitter handle has that in it, and I won't give it away.
I feel like I'm the Dave Chappelle meme where he's like, "You got any more recruits? You got any more recruits?" That's what I feel about it.
Yeah, and I hate you for it because you got me in it now. So that was my only
It's fun.
Yeah, you got me on Twitter checking it like daily to see who's
Greg was loving his off season, and his off season just got shorter.
It sure did, sir, and I appreciate it. So all good. You keep me on my toes, and I appreciate you. All right. Speaking of recruiting,
Jeez, we are still.
I know. I know. You guys talk too much.
All right, let's go real fast. Let's go real fast.
Yeah, we'll go lightning. Just another our top target for running back out of the 24 cycle, who I believe we'll have on the program here in a couple of weeks. I think we're going to be reaching out and having an interview with him soon. I know we've got, I think, another recruit video, I think, coming out this week, if memory serves me correctly. Our fearless, our fearless leader's not here to tell me what we got. So, but
I don't think that's this week.
No, okay. I don't know what we got. Oh, cheerleading's this week, I think. Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Yes, that's it. That's it. Thank you, guys. But real quick thoughts.
I mean, anytime you can get your top guy, top target at running back, it's good. And he's from Georgia. I mean, I'll take all the Georgia players.
Yeah, we've had some success there. I think, Macon, since you're the king of recruiting, I think this is like our 6th or 7th top target that we've gotten in this class. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's I don't know about all that, but it's he was a main guy, I think. So he was this is a guy who he scored a lot when he touched the ball, and I think that on his highlight tape, I can't remember if it's Max Preps or
Huddle
website stats, whatever it was. He got injured at some point last season.
That's been his biggest knock, is he's been injured the last 2 seasons.
Right, but when he's played, he has scored a lot.
Yeah,
and done really well.
I think he gets a touchdown once every 9 touches. I think was it the absurd number that I heard or something like that?
That's crazy. Yeah. Yep.
Something like that.
It was something like that.
I think that's right.
It was absurd. Yeah. The only reason I know that's because of you, Macon. Thank you. But
yeah.
All right. So good news is we're continuing to crush it out there on the recruiting trail. Our coaches are out there doing the yeoman's work. So real quick, we'll blow through this next one. Again, this is from Steve Williams over at IPS, who had a nice breakdown. Lots of official visits coming up in the next couple of weeks and months. Some of these guys we've already got commits from, and they're going to take their officials. So just to have them on campus and meet up with some coaches and players, that'll be a great thing. Any thoughts on that, gentlemen?
That'll be a good weekend to follow. Yep. June 16th.
Again, I love recruiting. What I will think is interesting here is that you've got right now, I think it's 2 of the commits on offense visiting the same weekend as you have How many receivers is that? 1, 2, 3,
six?
at least 3 receivers.
Oh yeah,
Three receivers,
Gotcha.
yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's where we need to lock somebody down.
Yeah, because we're going to be losing some of those.
You go around them. You've got your quarterback and your running back recruiting 3 receivers right now. So you're probably not going to get all of those guys.
Yep.
But I'll tell you what, I saw some clips of Alex Taylor going around this weekend from his camp recently. Woo, that dude can play. I've heard, Jonathan Taylor, for those who don't know, shorter receiver. He's like your all-purpose kind of player. He can line up in the backfield. He can line up out wide.
He kind of reminds you. Now, I'm not talking speed-wise. He reminds me of Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, I mean, he could. Yeah, he's a slot guy who is slot guy with speed. Terrell Anderson. He's a big body guy, contested catch kind of guy too, similar to Alex Taylor. I haven't watched enough to know the differences, but yeah, recruiting weekends like this is what you like to see.
Yeah, big
commits, being present with guys they recruited in the same day, help build those bonds, and maybe that pays off down the road when they want to commit.
Yeah. The other thing I'll say is you're seeing a lot of guys, and again, take stars for what they're worth, but we're getting a lot of 4-star, 5-star guys coming in for visits and things that we didn't necessarily see, 5, 6, 7 years ago as Coach Doran was just getting going. So great to see that happening out there on the recruiting trail. So we'll just jump over real quick. Just drop this nugget real quick from NC State softball. Tough weekend, losing all 3 to Carolina, but just to see the support of these ladies with everything that they've been through, 2 consecutive series that have been sellouts. So that's just a great thing to see that, they're fighting and the fans are fighting for them. So we really appreciate that. And Infinite Hate, you're 1 second ahead of me because I got you there, right there. Another big recruit. Last week we mentioned the number 1 recruit, Dale, I think. This young guy, I can't read it because it's so small. Can anybody read that?
Kai Winkler,
national age group record holder, rising sprint star Kai Winkler.
Yeah,
probably commits to NC State.
Yeah, so Infinite Hate was kind of there with me. Just looking at him, he's like in the 15-16 category. He's breaking like sub 42s, 49s, just ridiculous numbers. So swimming and diving are just building upon their great finish at nationals, and they're just getting it done. So excited about that. So we always talk about going to support these programs, and there's a gentleman that sits just below us at football. He was a swimmer at State, and so I've committed to him that I will try to get to a swim meet this upcoming season, and I'm going to try to get to all the sporting events in 1 calendar year. If anyone can do it, I can do it. So but that'll wrap up all of our tweets of the week, and we will just kind of put a bow on this show, guys. Anything that we might have missed?
I would say no. I don't think you talked about.
I don't think so.
Last week. I think we've covered it all.
Yeah, I feel like we did it justice. I think Leighton would probably give us like a 4 out of 10, which coming from him, that's high praise. So we'll take it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Wolfpack fans of all ages, that will bring us to the end of another live show of Tuffy Talk Now. As always, we appreciate it. We kind of teased it earlier that this week's episodes will be featuring your cheerleading co-ed small group champions, along with Coach. He joined us along with 2 of our captains on the team, so be on the lookout for those. I think those will drop Tuesday and Thursday. We got some fun things coming up here in the next couple of weeks, so obviously check those out. Make sure you're following us on Twitter to get all those great updates. Make sure that you are subscribed, liked, and ringing the bell for notifications for when we do go live with new episodes or Tuffy Talk Live, that you can get the notification to be here for us. And as always, like, subscribe, rate wherever you get your podcasts, all those fun, plugs that we have there. And until next time, Wolfpack Nation, we will see you soon. Later.